Hi.
Hello. Hello.
So many note takers.
I know.
It's kind of nice when they can be there for you, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, let's get rid of that one. We'll leave yours in, Leah, since you're actually here. Because we do put all of this on Zoom. Okay. All right. Well, we've got enough people here to get started. And today we're the way that we start Wednesdays, we've got some new faces. The way we start is going over the latest in AI news for the week, and then we'll get into our special topic of the day. Um, and answer any questions you have, and maybe even do some impromptu problem solving while you're here with us. The Wednesdays are are usually a more open session for actually working on the things that will make a difference for your business, not just learning about them. Um, One of the big stories this week is Workday. Workday laid off 1,750 people. And they have said they're doubling down on investments in AI and innovation, and they let go of their 1750. So they're not saying they directly laid people off because of AI, and they're saying they laid people off and they're doubling down on AI. So I'm guessing, they found some efficiencies and workforce has been reduced. And I hope those 1,700 people have learned how to use AI so that they can bring it to a new workplace because they're sure going to need it. And I think it's another prime example of if you're not using AI, you don't know how to use it, you'll be replaced by people who do. Um, and Facebook laid off another 5% of their team. Companies are getting more and more efficient. And so it's really important for everybody who still wants to be in the workforce to know how to use AI to do their job. So that you can continuously find gainful employment because companies are right now, there's a really high demand for that AI expertise across domains. Um, so I'm glad you're here because you're learning about AI. Um, let's see. Do we have any questions over here? Okay. And then we've had a lot of stories about AI saving lives. And this this time, there's a story that we have on the blog. There's a link to it too, where there's a life-saving life-saving treatment for a patient suffering from a rare disease. And the AI was able to find an off-label approach to helping somebody with this disease. And it's pretty cool because it gave them remission after they were in near hospice care. I mean, it was a dramatic difference, and AI helped to identify the potential treatment that ended up working really well. So they've been on the drug for 2 years now and in remission, going from hospice to remission. That's pretty amazing. And so that means they were using AI more than 2 years ago when they were matching up the drug and the repurposing of this drug for the particular rare disease. I actually was on a board of a rare disease organization, nonprofit, for quite a few years. And, we they're rare diseases because not many people have that particular one. And there are millions of people with rare diseases around the world. Um, so this is a nice feel good story and shows the positive impact AI is having. Um, Gemini 2.0 has been released. Gemini is Google's AI, And Gemini 1.5 previously had the largest context window, which is the volume of information that it can digest at a time. And 2.0 is now available to everybody. And it's supposed to be more cost efficient if you're using the API, do more complex reasoning and multimodal inputs. And so you can use this, the 2.0 API in really detailed coding tasks or creating different applications. And it's supposed to be really good with thinking and data analysis. And we'll be testing out 2.0. We definitely like Gemini 1.5, and we'll see where we find it most useful for our practical applications. And we'll let you know what we think about 2.0. There's certain things that we use 1.5 for, and that would be in really large data sets, because 1.5 had the largest context window. 2.0 may now, but that meant that we could upload the most information and it would remember the most information. And so Gemini 2.0, I'm sure, has a larger context window, but 1.5 was, well, so they do it based on tokens. And 1.5 was at something like 1 million tokens, where, if you're in the unpaid Chat GPT, you were at like 25,000, 30,000. So there's a really big difference in context window. And then we also talk about how to create your first AI agent. And the AI agent that we describe in here is a voice agent that knows how you speak or how your brand is represented. And every output from that agent will apply the brand voice or your individual voice to it. Andrea was able to get massive amounts of great content in maybe 30 minutes after writing this. She produced about a year's worth of content, blog posts, emails, everything from that. Do you want to comment on that, Andrea?
Yeah, it was pretty. Well, for me, it had taken me a while to get my voice down for whatever reason. I it was easier for me to get other people's voices, even though I was using the same method. And then one day we were going through and reteaching people how to do it. And so I decided to go back through it again. And this time I got a much better result, especially when I looked for other people that sounded like me and using their content to help my content. That's really what helped, I think, guide my voice the most, was that, because I don't have a lot of content out there, so I didn't really know what to go on except for, adjectives of how I wanted to be portrayed. So once I did that, I just loaded that into Jasper, and yeah, I was able to create 12 blogs and a bunch of other things in definitely less than an hour. And it was actually really fun to see it just spit out 12 blogs and have it actually sounds like I was the one writing it. Um, so yeah, it was a really good exercise, even for me to do it again, because I'm doing this all the time. But it's just like when you go back and check on a tool, they have new capabilities all the time too. So that's one of the reasons we do all the testing and share with you so that you don't have to do that part of it, because as we talked about yesterday in class, there's almost 30,000 AI tools now, and I don't think that there's anybody that knows how to use all 30,000 of them greatly.
Yeah. Yep. And when it comes to your voice, it's something that you want to fine tune, but I think we have a process now, and AI is to a point where we can get really good outputs that sound human consistently, that sound like you consistently. There will be a little bit of initial tweaking, but it's gotten so much better. Compared to a year ago, it's so much better. And it's something that you'll probably want to continue to keep an eye on. And then the tools we spotlighted this week are Gamma, because I've been doing a lot of decks lately. and it makes deck creation super fast. I love it. And Opus, which is great. It's a really easy entry tool into AI video where you can take things like this session, drop it into Opus. Opus chops it into different clips and will give you a rating on your likeliness to go viral. And it even grades the score of each clip, and it gives you pointers on what you could do better. So it takes a lot of video, digested into small pieces, and then it overlays text. So then you have these great little clips for social. And we do take the news on the mastermind session, and we chop it up and we put it on social, because this gives us our content for the week. And then we also talk about Jasper, which is something that we use all the time for marketing. It's kind of the enterprise marketing tool. They have gotten better and better, but we've been using Jasper since 2020. So it's been a while, and it just keeps improving. And it's great for all things marketing content related. I would like to get to know some of the new faces here a little bit better. Candy and Twee, can you tell me what, and we'll go around, but I'm just going to go in the order that I see you. So Candy, will you let us know what your role is and what company you're with?
Oh, sure. I'm with Skillful.
Okay.
I'm the vice president of customer experience.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
And Twee?
Hi everyone, I'm Twee. I am the controller at Vibrant Cities. We're a multifamily development company in Seattle.
Excellent. Controller. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And Jeanette?
Hi, I'm Jeanette. I'm an independent consultant in Seattle on tech productivity and efficiency. So AI definitely speaks to that.
Yeah, thank you. Charles?
Hey everyone, my name is Charis. I'm a marketing consultant. My company is Everrise Marketing, and I help small to mid-sized businesses grow their client base or their customer base.
Thank you. Leah?
Hi everyone, I'm Leah and I'm a small business owner offering fractional operations managers to embed into digital marketing agencies.
Thank you. And what is something you'd like to get out of class and out of the sessions?
All the things. No, I'd say what I'm struggling with, I think the most right now is connecting the dots between either different tools to create the kind of like one cohesive product. So for example, like with Andrea's mention about like blog posts, like then having the generative images to go with those blog posts, and having it kind of like all in one package, and then connecting it in, for example, like we use ClickUp for our project management tool, so then connecting with that, so that it's all in kind of one place. Because right now I have all these different tools, all these different platforms, all these different use cases, and especially being in operations, like I'm working really hard to streamline it and find like, here's the process, here's the connections. And obviously I think a lot of it has to go through like Zapier, or Make or some kind of tool right now, because I just don't see something else yet that kind of puts it all together, or not one that I want to pay for yet. So that, I think that's my biggest thing, is just like connecting the dots and having more efficient workflows with how much can be actually created.
Yeah. We were having a chat with our ops person, with Emma, about that. We had a long conversation about that today, and talking about the tools and the workflows and the things that we want to improve upon, because we do have some of this defined. Like if you can create the SOP that you want for that workflow, that would be, you can start with that, or start with the workflow and the SOPs on the different parts, because I don't know why you would want your blog to go to ClickUp. And these are the things that I would be asking myself and that we talk through. Is why your blog would go to ClickUp, what you want it to do from there, and does it post to WordPress? Would you just want it to go to WordPress and notify ClickUp that it is in WordPress to notify a person to review it? Right? So
Yeah.
no
Yeah, I
matter-
was thinking of in ClickUp to then review, make adjustments, before it even goes to WordPress, but makes more sense to just have it be a notification in ClickUp, or I guess just even the status, just updates, to in review, and can tag me, and then, but it's actually already set up there. And then if it also, again, like had it set up with the images, with the SEO, all prepped, all of those components, that'd be even better.
Yeah. And then you have to find out, you have to know what the tool can and can't do and how the APIs connect, because I know we can post articles to WordPress. I don't know if we can post it with all the SEO details. Same with putting things in Pinterest. We have to manually go in and add the SEO details in certain places because the API doesn't allow a third party to post with all of those other details. And so when you design this whole workflow, your ideal workflow, why don't I pull up, this is something we've been talking a lot about because we do use AI and automation, and all the time we're asking ourselves how we can make things easier and how we can automate them even more. And I've got this in a deck because I was just presenting about this liberation by automation. And let me show you one of my workflows. And I would love for everyone on here to think of a workflow that you might want to define and take through this process. This is actually something that we cover in class too. So whoever's here, you'll get a sneak preview. It's not something that is really ever done in your business because the tools change, your workflows might change. So any department that you're in, you can think about this from accounts payable and receivable and reporting. You can think about this from customer service perspective, but what is the workflow that you want to define? So first think about your workflow. And Leila, let's just take your case. We'll do this blog post. We have a 20-step workflow in here that we've defined. And you can see my screen, right, with the workflow on it?
Yep.
Okay. And in this one, this is our close to completion. So this is enterprise client converts and wants to have custom training. And they are from an AI company that we're working with. And then we get this. So we have client converts to training. We have to get informed on the kind of package that they got. Did they have a custom solution built for them? So there's a certain amount of information that we need. And is there an automation to that, or is that going to be manual? And there's client onboarding. So maybe we get the specs and it's manual and we put it into the system, we get the client information, then there automatically are generated an email that has a link to a survey that was generated just for them and an intake form that was generated just from that for them. And then they get that email. So the email's sent out. And it's like, these are all little things that we have to design and define an SOP or standard operating procedure for. And AI can help you with this. If you tell AI the tools that you are using and the workflow you want to create, it can create an outline for you and you can just correct it. So you can get started really simply. And then then you'll start to build out in that outline. Each one of these steps has an SOP. So the onboarding email will have the ingredients to the email, that's got to be defined, the link, the thing that's generated, and then you'll have to define the technology that's in your workflow. And that will probably go into the SOP. And this involves 3 different pieces of technology in just step 2.
Got it.
And so how do those three pieces of technology now, you don't have to know how they talk to each other, but just first define like this is ideally we'll go from here to here to here. And then in this case, the client email is sent out and they get the training schedule, coordinated scheduling preferences. So what days and time of the week do they want? And then what the next steps are. And so is that automatic or do we put a human in that part? Can this possibly be, you know, calendar and in the CRM? So we might consider that. And we take every piece in a workflow and we look at the technology, we look at the people, and we do kind of the RACI on it also and see who's responsible and these different, you know, who needs to be informed. So there ends up being each step has an SOP with the tech, with the RACI on it too. And so we take this time to really define a workflow and the steps and the tools. And then you would take it to us. Let's say you do one of these and you come back next Wednesday. And you're like, okay, I have step 2 in this process. These are the tools. This is the SOP. How can we put AI here? Because this is the piece that takes the most time that we know we can use AI to use, and we don't need a human. We just haven't figured it out. Or you might say, this is a piece that we are never going to give to AI. We are always going to have humans in it. And that's okay because we choose that. Like with the scheduling in this particular workflow is really complicated. And there's a lot of people involved. You have to see if the trainers are available. You have to see what countries, what time zones, what languages, things like that, that we, our system doesn't have the capability to do that. And then our trainer schedules change all the time. So we actually need a person to go in there and do that particular step, where you might think it would be an easy one to automate, but in our case, it's not. Then we skip over to survey sent to employees. That's easy enough. But we go down to number 8 and we want a human to review the survey, because we want the human's context to decide like how tech savvy is this group and what level of training and what kind of language should we use in this training. And what roles are people in. So we really want to have a human in step 8 also. And so you'll look through an entire workflow and you may just pick off certain pieces that are time consuming. It could be proposal writing and you just want to AI that. We were defining this kind of the scope of proposal writing because we have a good one for doing strategies, and we're going to improve our strategies too. We constantly improve them. But we have a whole workflow for strategies, a workflow for proposals, and we're constantly looking at where we can improve in here. And so in the next few weeks, if people want to bring in these steps or want to look at workflows and where you can put AI, then I think that's where we can help out too, of which technologies can speak to each other, because I bet everybody in here has a different tech stack they're using. You know, and the good thing about AI, so as the person who might help you implement, the bad thing for me is that everybody has a different tech stack. And so we have to solve a new problem every time. And the good news for you is it's actually quite easy to solve the problem or to like find the opportunities in every tech stack now and in every tool. We just have to know, can you have that SEO'd content in your images, the alt text, or is that going to be manual? And it'll depend on the API and what it'll allow you to do. And that's, that is a part of the process is, we want to use AI and automation to the maximum ability. And we need to identify those unique spots where we still need to have humans involved, at least right now. And then, I'm sure it'll improve and AI can do it, just can't do some things right now. And it's not because AI can't do it either. It's because the limitations that, like for us with Pinterest, there's certain things you just can't do. And also on Instagram, they like it to be posted native. So we don't automate it because they like to have the posts generated from Instagram. So that's another thing where we would choose a human. We might generate all the content using AI, but we'll still have a human post it because they don't like third-party plugins posting. Even though you technically can, it just makes your content not as effective.
I kind of wonder, and I know we were talking about operator earlier, and we haven't quite tested it to the point. I mean, we could show you a couple things, but because ChatGPT's operator, which is basically doing your tasks for you based on, again, you have to have what you need done defined in the process. I wonder though if there could be some automation back on Instagram with that, because it can go to websites, it can log in as you, I think. And so maybe we can get
It
some of that
can.
automation back. That's something I'll definitely want to try out. But
Yeah, it definitely can log in as you. And so now it's given non-technical people the ability to do an RPA, which is robotic process automation. And if you're paying for that high level chat GPT, you have to pre-log into everything before you ask it to do all the tasks. But there are some like next level things that you can do. And with Claude too, there's these next level where you can ask it to log into this and pull this thing out and send it over to this thing. So even without using Zapier. And I think that it will get to I think it'll get to a point where we can just like type into the chat bar, hey, I want you to do this, that, and the other thing, and it will do it, because all your stuff's connected. It's not there yet, but that's the dream, at least for me, in making things efficient, is that they all talk to each other.
yeah,
Um, and so it'd be helpful for you and for Jeanette and for Cheris, I want both of you to think of the kind of clients that you would work with and repeatable workflows that you could offer to them. When you're thinking about it, I had a conversation with my friend in Australia, and we were sussing out what industries could use this the most, that you could go to every single company and you could implement a workflow that's AI and automated. Their tech stack's not going to be too different. Their data needs, their connections won't be too different, so that you could repeat this. And so if you're doing consulting, that's something to consider, is what do all of your clients have in common? Or then if you're going to look for new ones, a thing that's repeatable that you could offer to them. Because for us, looking at everyone who's on here, you all have different workflows and tech stacks, and we know that it's going to be different. And so it will make it a little bit more complicated. Yeah.
you know what we need to create is a way that everybody can enter in their processes and the tech stack they're using, and then the AI would figure out
Yeah.
path of all your tech. I mean, that would be
So
the
that's what
dream.
that's
Yeah.
what we were talking about with Emma, is creating a think sheet for this process. And then the think sheet would go into AI, and then AI would spit out your requirements. So maybe by the end of this cohort, maybe in the next 12 weeks, maybe sooner, maybe longer, I don't know. But that's something that we have on our to-do list.
Well, and that's definitely the focus that it's all gone to. Like last year was about what else can we do with AI? And so there's all these tools, right? But everybody is kind of like where you're at, Leah, like, what do I do with it now? Like, it's great that I can make these 10 things all separate, but what if it all worked together and did that automatically? And that's where the next phase, I see that there's going to be a lot of growth there this year, less about creating new tools to do stuff because there's like 30,000, and more about how we can get them to work together, or how to make them work automatically or without you having to you tell it to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you could break down, let's see, I'll go into Canva just because we can play with something visual there. Oh, not that one. Let's go home. Let's find a workflow. Okay. I'm sure I used something like this. Well, let's do this one. This one's cute. We'll customize this. Let's just talk through what you're thinking about.
Yeah, so I think the first is we have a content plan and content strategy and plan. And so to take that, like from that, I would want it to following, the plan, identify like the next blog post to write and then write it. And then I'd love to have that human step of review, edit, approve on any of that.
Wait, hold on. I'm
Oh, good. Yeah.
Okay, so list, blog post, write post. We want to write
Yeah,
it.
write post. And then, yeah, review and approve post.
Okay, so okay. Review post. And then we want it to post, right?
Mm-hmm.
Post it. And then do we do anything on social?
Yeah, repost primarily on LinkedIn.
Oh, so do you put it on your website too, though?
Oh yeah, post it to the website. Mm-hmm.
The site, and then we also want to post it to LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Post to LinkedIn, and then we will ideally want to review the metrics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, have a report or something.
Yep. Okay. So let's say this is our thing. This is our simple one. And so we have 7 steps right now, and this is our workflow. Blog workflow. I can already think of some short spots and some spots you're going to have to expand. And what tools? Do you know what tool, like where does your content plan live? And is it in like just a Google folder?
Yep.
Workspace?
Yeah, Google Workspace. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have Google Workspace, probably for both of those. And then what AI tool do you think you would use?
Probably Claude. I mean, I've been using both ChatGPT and Claude, and I think Claude is getting my voice better or more consistently.
Yep.
So I'll probably do Claude for now.
Where do you think you would review the post?
Well, I had thought if it was all connected like in ClickUp, I would do it there because then I can see kind of all the different steps and just move it along. But I liked the mention that you said of having it in a draft of like WordPress. And then I could just go straight to WordPress and see it already like in a preview there rather than just the text.
Yeah. And the right post, we also want an image too.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what would you use to create the image?
Lately, I've been just using Canva Magic.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing too fancy.
And then we're going to post it to site, which is WordPress. And then post it to LinkedIn, probably as an article.
Mm-hmm.
And then review the metrics. Do you have any other metrics thing, or is that back in LinkedIn?
Just in LinkedIn.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
Google,
analytics.
yeah. Do you use
Yeah.
Google Analytics?
You also need a caption for your article to post that.
Mm.
yes, you can just put an article on there, but you would want to share that you put the article on and have a caption written for that.
Yes, there's a bit more that would, so when you think about all of these processes, like in the post to LinkedIn, part of the SOP is to create a caption. So that would be in the instructions in this step.
Got it.
And it also might be to create hashtags and at tags too, as appropriate.
Hmm.
And that might occur up in write the post.
Makes sense. Yeah, do all of the content at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. So in here, you'd probably also be likely you'd choose a different AI tool. That'd be a simple one to put it into API. I know you can use Canvas API stuff too, but where these little arrows are really important. They're just little arrows in the diagram, but it's actually how we get something from one thing to the next. And, are we going to use Zapier to do it? Are we going to, you could potentially use ChatGPT, or Claude has, what do they call it? Claude Compute or computer, that mode that would do some of these different activities. Like it could potentially log into your LinkedIn, like write the post, log into your LinkedIn and post it as an article automatically. And so we'd want to consider, oops, that's weird. Yeah. We also want to consider, keep getting more line. Cloud computer, potentially.
Yeah, I think that's where I go in circles a bit is like how much do I need to know about APIs, right? And how they are set up and how they work to be able to do like exactly what you're talking about with the arrows, like the communication pieces.
Right now, where we are, we'll get to some of this in later sessions. I don't want to get too much into that API connection part. I want you to define these things a bit more.
Got it.
And create SOPs. So do you have an SOP for writing a blog?
Oh yeah. SOP queen. I can whip those out real quick.
Okay, so think about when you're writing your blog, all the elements that it needs, not just the blog, but also the title, the image, what you would like if you had a standard kind of prompt or instructions on how to create the right image, you'll have the blog, the image, the hashtags, the at tags, and you'll want to make sure that that's standard, because you could actually you could cut out steps 1 and 2 almost instantly. Because if you have your content plan and strategy, you just ask it for the list of blog posts, run it through, make sure it's SEO'd, like what your things are, and that's where a human would check it, and just do posts for the next 12 months if you're going to post it once a month. Or try 12 weeks if you want to do it once a week, but produce a whole batch at once. And then you can have all of these things in the queue. It makes it so much easier too. And we'll want to make sure that a certain voice is applied. So that goes into your SOP. You'll have the voice, you'll have all of the elements of the blog post itself, like how you want it, headers, if you want bullet points, if you need links to other posts on your website, because you want internal links, you want external links. And this is where Claude has an issue because it is not connected to the internet. And we love Claude for writing very much. We also like it for pricing very much, but it's not connected to the internet. And so you might end up choosing ChatGPT, and we can help you refine the voice on there a bit more so that you have it's more robust and you'll get better consistent outputs from it. We would also do things like that in Jasper potentially. But you could, let's just say we decide, okay, well, Claude's not connected to the internet and I always need links. So I need to do that in ChatGPT. And if you're in ChatGPT, might as well use that to create your images.
Mhm.
And then with my image, it can write your alt text. With your blog post, it can write your alt text. It can write your intro for SEO. It can write all of those things. So you want to then, like in your SOP and in what that template of your blog post look like, consider every little detail that you're going to want in WordPress and that you're going to want in like LinkedIn, because you might want a different intro in LinkedIn than you would on WordPress. Maybe not, but I mean, I'd probably do it more towards what people like to read on LinkedIn and then just post that to your website too.
Okay.
But step 3 is what you really need to define and suss out, and then review the post. You need your SOP on that, like what tool, if they're going to do it in ClickUp, or if they just check it off in ClickUp and then it lives over in WordPress. And it's in a draft over in WordPress because we get it straight from ChatGPT into WordPress, which is like an easy one.
Yeah.
Or Claude to WordPress should be easy too. And so from this point, this is where like each step needs its SOP. And then we start to add the tools, and you would probably want your RACI defined as well of who's doing what. And then we'll get more into this, but I would say spend time on number 3. And we'll fine tune number 3 because that is most likely where you'll save the most time.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of the other steps are much simpler. With just posting, just reviewing, even like again, because we already have the content plan and strategy, it's the writing piece that we always have to go back and do more review on because it's not fully structured yet.
I would suggest going through the entire process yourself as you're considering number 3, because you're going to want to consider 4, 5, 6, and maybe not 7, all in number 3. So
Yep.
the idea is to get everything at once. So that would include metadata for your blog and like the title of the blog, or if it's an email, a subject line and a preview text. And like, so you going through all the steps, just like in the article, there's certain things that you get to fill in on LinkedIn. And then when you actually share that article that you posted it, then there's that caption. And so there's like a lot of pieces of content that have to go into 5 and 6. And so you just have to define that. And the only real way to do it is to go through it. And those things also change. So that's something to keep in mind. LinkedIn doesn't change quite as much as, Instagram or something, but it is a good idea to review these at least once a year or maybe every 6 months, depending on what workflow it is.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then AI is slowly changing SEO, and your meta description, you need to make sure that it's AI friendly meta description, because it'll be slightly different.
Yeah, I'm already seeing some of the tides of change there as well.
Yeah. And so we'll write that into the instructions, but we'll work on this continuously with you. If you can go back and define some of this a bit more, then we can take a look at your inputs for your content. If you're like, it's not doing, like if we have to use ChatGPT and it's not working as well as Claude, then we can help you to refine ChatGPT to get it to have those outputs that you want. because we
Right.
do have some magic in there. I think it's lesson 3 or 4, where you'll get some of that in class. Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
And I think anybody else that's listening to, you can think of some of your processes and start to define this. So as you go through the course too, where you can apply what you're learning to those parts of the process, but then also when we get to actually automating, depending on your tech stack, you'll already be ready with the process. So whether it's HR and maybe it's onboarding new employees, some processes you might think are only 2 steps, but when you start going through it, there's actually like 30 steps because it becomes so automatic for us to do it that defining it, certain parts can get skipped. So that part is just really important to get your process down to be able to automate it.
Yeah. So Candy, this is where I'd be curious to hear more from you, what this makes you think of for your process for, customer service and taking care of people.
Well, my mind is racing because I'm trying to figure out how many I just think there are so many ways, right? So I'm responsible for the entire customer journey from onboarding to, making sure that they're getting their return on their investment. And so I think about kickoff meetings and personalization of documentation. I think about training specifically as we're enabling them to use our platform. And I went back to the video, you were talking about the video, the tool that could chop down the videos and give feedback on that. I know that we have provided synchronous training through like Teams meetings and whatnot. It would be interesting to drop that in and get feedback so that we could break those down and create maybe some modularized training that we could deliver asynchronously based on the feedback that is given to us from Opus. I don't know. I think there's just so many opportunities. I don't know where to begin. I think there's just so many.
Well, I think that's good to get in the mindset as you go through your days of how can we AI this?
Yeah.
And pick something that is either, so this is the thing, where do we start? You pick something that's really easy to start with. This is an option. Really easy. We know we can do this pretty quickly. It's not going to upset too many people if stuff messes up or if we don't have it perfect, right? Because it's tuning. Then there's this takes us so much time to do. We really want to start with this one. There was a project that I worked with for economic development, and it was an 8-week project typically. And they would outsource they would have internal resources on it. They'd pay $20,000 outsourcing some external resources. And we managed to figure it out in an hour.
Wow, that's amazing. I think about one of the most time-consuming tasks that my team has is preparing for a service review of our customers' usage of our platform.
Okay.
And sometimes you can spend 10 hours just looking at the data, trying to find the outliers, trying to find all of the things that data is trying to tell us, what's the story, and the using AI to do that in an anonymous way, right? So we're not giving away too much information about our customers and what they're doing, right? But that I think would be game changing for us, is if we could find a way to anonymize data to get it in there for AI to tell us, what are the trends they're seeing, what are the outliers, what are the things that is really telling the story on how a customer's how they're getting a return on their investment with their training.
Okay, I've got some homework for you.
Okay.
So grab the data.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Get that data. Bring it to, I'd say bring it next Wednesday.
Okay.
When we have this free time, and you want to anonymize it. So make all the names like Jane Doe, John Doe. And you could do that just by putting whatever it is into AI, like your paid tool, like a Chat GPT. and just tell it, like, upload a CSV file, tell it to change all the names to Jane Doe or all the names to John Doe, something like that, or give it a numerical sequence, like customer 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah, I
5.
think I need to do a numerical sequence. Otherwise, we're not understanding about each learner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you might want to have the numerical sequence so they are individual, but you can ask AI to do that.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking if we're going to share with people here, we want to make sure that the data is already anonymous.
Yeah.
And then we'll try a couple of different, I have an idea of how I think it would best work, but we'll try a couple tools
Okay.
and play with it, ask it some questions. We might even make your own little agent that you can use that has some instructions. If there are any reports that you've used that you have used based on gathering data and have these outputs, also gather those reports.
Okay. Okay.
Because if we have examples of what you really want to see as an output, and we can just
Yeah.
like get all your new data and compare it, that's helpful too. So anything that you have around this, and even if you have a write-up of, I'd like to know these things about this information,
Yeah.
the top questions,
Okay.
yeah, that would be helpful. Any instructions that you think of, like, this is what I want to do with this information. And then AI can give you suggestions on what else you might want to do with it.
And that's what I'm most interested in. Like I'm getting down to a cadence on how to, get the data to tell us what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
But what are the things we're not looking or reading into the data that it's telling us? Like it's right there, but we're not smart enough to figure out what that story is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
something that AI can be really good at. And we might actually want to run it through a couple different tools because you might get a different perspective from each of them. Like Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini may all give you different results if we have the same bit of information, and they
Yeah.
might give you different insights. So we'll clean it up and package it in a way that it's really good instructions, and then we can put it into any of the AIs. So we can do a little session on data analysis next Wednesday.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. And then I see, Leigh, you might be interested in something around this too. So if you've got something
yeah.
in mind.
Taking lots of notes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll do a little data analysis fun next Wednesday.
I love it. Good.
Also, Candy, while you were talking, I just want to go back to making sure we're specific on our processes. I asked Claude,
I'll stop
to-
sharing so you can.
I said I was a customer success manager and that I handled the entire customer journey. I just put in there what you were saying. Can you help me build a workflow from onboarding to ROI? And so it actually started a workflow. And so this is a great place to start. Never start from zero, right? Use AI to get you all these steps. But it actually created a little flow chart, which I hadn't seen before in here. But I mean, I hadn't done a workflow in here in a little while, but to be fair. And it separated by these different phases it was talking about, onboarding, adoption, all of that, which is kind of interesting. And what happens if it's healthy versus if there's an issue. And so this is a great place to start when you are beginning to make your processes and really call that out, because sometimes we forget about what we do, or as you just said, sometimes it suggests something that we didn't think of doing before, and you're like, oh yeah, that would be really good too. So again, just remember, use the AI tools for the entire process. So don't like be thinking about the end game of like automating it all and what the tech stack's going to look like. Even defining whatever it is the whole way through, use the AI for. So
Okay, good. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah, and you can do this in ChatGPT also. and it'll give you a flow chart, but that one actually looks better than the ones that have come out of ChatGPT lately.
Yeah, I hadn't seen one like this that actually had different sizes and different locations, and then the arrows going to the other. And I was like, okay. So all the time, they're all getting better. So it's, again, really good to go back and test out over and over.
Yeah. And so if you can come with that information next week and anonymized, just it can be numerical or whatever, then we'll try it in the different tools. So because we've got paid subscriptions for all, so it'll be private inside
Oh,
of them. So
yeah.
we'll show you how to use like ChatGPT, because I think that's what you've got, right?
Yes, I use that most often.
Yeah, so we'll show you how to do it on there, and then we'll take that information to some other places and just see if you get any other inputs too. So we'll kind of do a whole comparison.
I was playing around. There's a government website that just has a bunch of data, and you can just download spreadsheets from there on random things. And I found like prices of fruit and vegetables, and I downloaded that. And there was a ChatGPT tool called Data Analyst, and I was like, let me plug it in there and ask it a bunch of questions and just see. And it was fascinating, the insight that was coming out of that. And I was like, oh man, if I could just figure out how to anonymize my data efficiently, because we were talking about hundreds of thousands of lines of information, but our customer wants it, granularly. So I can't anonymize it too much. I can't, like stack them all and make them all like customer one. Like it has to be individual. So,
well, and maybe for starting out, if you have hundreds of thousands, pick like 1,000 to start with.
oh yeah, no, I wouldn't do that to play with. But I'm thinking about, how to really implement it. But what I'll bring to us will be a couple thousand lines maybe.
Okay, because Gemini has the largest context window. So if you did have a lot of information, we'd probably end up creating a Gemini gem with it and putting it all in there, because that can digest the most information right now. But we'll show you how to do a custom GPT, which is like the agent in Chat GPT. That's the like lower paid one, because you can have ones that have more information if you want to pay $200 a month instead of 20. Like it's a big difference when you start looking at that information, and it might end up being worth it, but we'll just experiment with what you bring, and we'll show you we'll see what the difference is on the different platforms on how they look at that data.
Okay, perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're welcome. That's going to be fun.
I'm excited.
And I know Twee was asking about spreadsheets before she had to go, so she'll want to be part of that too, I'm sure.
Yeah. And we do have a session on spreadsheets, but it's more about building them and creating them rather than analyzing them. So this is a good thing to do. We'll let everybody else know that that's what we're going to talk about next Wednesday, is the data analysis and what to do with your big spreadsheets full of information.
I love it. Good deal.
Yeah. I love doing those. And I can show you this more next week of how I've done, even like with smaller sets of data, just with surveys, and then asking AI for insights on the survey data, and then making a presentation out of it. And we can even do charts and graphs and that sort of thing.
I love it.
Actually, since we have 2 minutes, I just want to show you, this is a very small amount of data, but just above where I was showing you, we did a survey, and this is like percentage of workers. This was in a particular region, Lower Okanagan in Canada, number of workers using AI. And so we could take the spreadsheet information or the survey information that was in a spreadsheet and use it in Gamma to make these little graphs and charts. And then make a little pretty presentation to show them that information. And make an action plan about training based on the summaries of information. Anyways, all right, well, that'll be fun. Can't wait to see it.
Me too.
And then Leia, if you work on your blog post stuff, I'm curious when you have conversations with Claude or whomever about what you need. Like I would ask it, what are all the elements to a LinkedIn article? What are all the elements to a blog post that I need? And how can I make sure that AI always finds my articles and blog posts? What suggestions they give you. And I would love it if you could share with us what your outline is and what you learned from that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Good. Thank you. All right, Jeanette, nice to see you. And Cherislav, I think everybody's outie. Thank you for coming today.